Hello, everybody. Welcome back to these weekly trainings. So, I am super, super excited that these trainings are back. I took a little break for a second, but they are back, and I am super, super excited. So, if you've been with me for a while, you know that these trainings have evolved a little bit from once I started to where I am now. And these trainings are for the women who are ready to remember who the fuck they are, unlock their infinite potential, and step into their true power. If you're like, I've been into personal development, I've been into self growth, and I just feel like I'm on a hamster wheel, spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning, right? And you feel like you're doing all the right things, you're reading the books, you're listening to the podcast, you're doing the things, and you just feel like you're not fucking getting anywhere. This is why I created these live trainings, free live trainings, because that was me. That was you, and that was me. So 4 years. So I've always been into like self-growth and personal development and all those things. Like I was a gymnast growing up. Like I competed at a decently high level. So I have always been like wanting to achieve, wanting to do better, and all of the things. Right. And then when my gymnastics career ended and I went into college, I was still very high achieving, good grades, all of the things. But here's the thing that I noticed, that no matter how well I did, no matter what I achieved, no matter how skinny I got, no matter if I got six-pack abs, nothing I did ever felt good enough. I still felt shitty. I still didn't feel good enough. Like that was my overall theme. No matter what I did, it wasn't good enough. It's not good enough. I don't feel good enough. Or I would feel good enough for a minute, right? I would feel good enough for a second, and then I wouldn't it would I wouldn't anymore, right? And it's like once you hit that achievement, you think that everything's going to be great. You think that you're going to feel amazing, but you hit the achievement and then you're like really excited for a minute and then you're like, okay, now what? Right? So, one, sometimes going after our achievements can just mean that we are trying to avoid how we are actually feeling. And then two, we are doing it in hopes that it'll make us feel better, but it never really fucking does. Right? It just doesn't. So that is when, so I also had disordered eating, exercise addiction, all of the stuff. And that is when I started going down my healing journey, because I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm so obsessed with food. I am so obsessed with exercise and I feel fucking shitty all the time. I cannot do this anymore. So that is when I started going down my healing journey. And that is when I started to learn that all of my issues were so much deeper than what I realized, that I had a lot of suppressed trauma that I didn't deal with. I had a lot of suppressed emotions that I didn't deal with. And that I was only trying to change from my mind, from my mindset, right? And I wasn't learning how to connect with my body. I was very disconnected to my body. If you have a disordered eating, you usually are very disconnected because you're ignoring your body's physical cues, hunger cues, all of the things. So I was very disconnected from my body. And I suppressed my emotions. I suppressed my trauma and all of the things. And then I started my healing journey and I started going down what it means to heal at the body level. And that is when true transformation happened, because true transformation happens with the subconscious mind and the body together. And your nervous system is within the subconscious mind, like they're intertwined. So that is when real transformation started to happen for me, is when I started to really get deep and I really started to do the internal work. Because a lot of times self growth is a little bit of like external work where it's like, excuse me, it's like, okay, I'm going to have these things on my to-do list and I'm going to do them every day. I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to eat this way every day. Da, 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 da. But that's not really internal work. Again, that's like very external. Like I have to do X, Y, and Z, right? To quote unquote be better. But like the internal work is looking internally to figure out, why am I doing certain behaviors? Is the place that I'm doing this behavior coming from the right place? Is it coming from trying to prove my worth? Or is it coming from because I actually love myself? And I tell people this all the time. It's not always about the behavior. It's about the intention behind the behavior. So one person could be working out and eating healthy, And they're doing it because they hate themselves and they feel like if they reach a certain body look, then they'll love themselves. And then somebody on this side could be doing the same thing, eating healthy and working out, but it's coming from a place of I love myself so much that I want to take care of myself. Right? And then when you do the internal work, my fondest memory was building sandcastles with my father. That wasn't until my mom took them away. When you do the internal work, then you can start to understand why you're doing certain things. You can start to understand that a lot of our subconscious programming is from ages 0 to 7, and that is now living out in adulthood without us even realizing it. Right? And it's just so crazy. It's so crazy to me because it's just things are just so backwards. Because again, when I was reading the self-help books, it's like write down a to-do list, and then right, you're trying to change externally. If I do X, Y, and Z, then I will grow and then I will feel better. But it never fucking worked. It didn't matter what the fuck I did. I still didn't feel good enough. There was, and the not good enough was coming from childhood, and it just followed me into adulthood. And until we can peel back those layers, until we can get to the root of why we are feeling that way, we will keep feeling that way. Right? And here's the thing, when you start feeling good enough, your life starts to change just like automatically. When you start feeling good enough, when you remember who the fuck you are. When you remember who the fuck you are, right? Peel back the layers, peel back. I think I just made a TikTok about this. Like, remembering who the fuck you are is peeling back all of the layers that you created to show up in this world, peeling back all of the childhood conditioning that made you be a certain way. I am not the person I was before the beginning of my healing journey, because before the beginning of my healing journey, I was a people pleaser and I was living for other people, right? Like, I wasn't showing up as my true authentic self. I was showing up as the person I thought people wanted me to be. Or I was showing up as the person that I got praised for getting good grades and achieving and all of those things. And all of that kept me from who I really was. And that's why I was living in such this like, oh, like I'm doing all of the right things and I feel so fucking shitty. I don't feel good enough. I get triggered, or something that will happen that will trigger me to not feel good enough, like something so small and so minute, right? And it's like, and I had to be a certain way and I had to show up a certain way in order for people to love and accept me. But when you're doing that, you are putting other people and other people's opinions above yourself. And when you remember who the fuck you are and you step into your true power, you put how you feel about yourself above how anybody else feels about yourself. And also, you become so secure and confident in who you are that it actually really doesn't matter anymore what people have to think. Right? Remember who the fuck you are, unlock your infinite potential, step into your true power. That's what I'm here for. Because for so long I was not in my power. For so long I was so lost and confused on who I was. Right? And it's like, it doesn't have to be that way. And I wish I would have known this stuff earlier. And here's the other thing. What happens for me is sometimes something so traumatic happens and it's hard for us to be able to look internal because it's scary and our nervous system doesn't feel safe enough. That was me for a long time. It was like, what happened was too much for me to handle, that I'm going to do everything I can to avoid it. Hence the eating disorder, hence the exercise addiction, hence the overachieving. If I just keep going, then I don't have the ability to stop and slow down and look internally. But here's the thing, it's not as scary as it seems. Trust me, I was there. I did not want to feel my emotions. I pushed them off, all of the things. But I'm here to tell you that it is not as scary as it seems. It is not as scary as it seems, right? So I hope that this makes sense. Somebody just joined, but I think it's messed up a little bit, so I'll have to message her. So yes, it's not as scary as it seems. And we just got to remember who the fuck we are. Right? Remember who the fuck we are. And when we do that, you become so fucking unstoppable. It's just crazy. It's crazy. So, if you guys have any ideas of like what topics you want me to talk about, if there's anything in particular that you want me to talk about, let me know and I will talk about them in these lives. Seems a little messed up today because I should be able to see who joined, but I can't. So once I get that figured out, you can join the lives and ask questions as I am doing them. But we'll get that all figured out. But if you're here, thank you so much. I can't wait till next week, and I love you all so, so much.